Before we begin, surrender to your pure subjectivity. Breathe to your belly. Today's subject, as you know, is confronting fear. Fear is a huge issue for all and every human being. Whether consciously or unconsciously, everyone is filled with fear. We are born into fear. And it's no one's fault. It is just the nature of this reality. Not just nature of separation, but of a particular kind of separation, which is based on biological existence, striving for survival, physical and psychological, emotional. And someone might think that, okay, fear is caused by our personal issues, personal background, our childhood, past experiences, and all of that certainly contributes to fear, but irrespectively of our personal experiences, fear is simply embodied in our existence. And it is sad, it is painful, it makes you question this reality, its design, but it is a fact that we need to confront and deal with. Fear is certainly something that we can generate, and we do generate, in the mind through our thoughts. But even if you do not create fear in the mind, it is already in you. It is in your body. Because body, through the sympathetic nervous system, is the primary processor of the emotion of fear. And I would like you to surrender to your body, to get in touch with your fear, the main center of fear is in your solar plexus, but it is not limited, the fear, to solar plexus. It is in your whole body, in all your cells. I want you to breathe to your body, to surrender to your body, and to surrender to this deepest emotion of fear in your body. You see, the main issue of human beings is not just the fact that they feel fear, which is that very animalistic, basic emotion at the base of our existence on this planet. The main issue is our separation from fear. Not just that we refuse to acknowledge it in the mind, but the fact that we are not experiencing it totally. We are experiencing it from the mind, relating to the fear that is being experienced in the body from the mind. So this, what surrender to your body allows you to experience, a unity with your fear. Because you are afraid, you are terrified, you just refuse to acknowledge it, because the human mind developed all kinds of strategies to repress that basic fear, to repress it, to distract oneself from it, to refuse acknowledging it, to make oneself unconscious of it. But it is always there. So I want you to surrender to your fear in your body to the point that you really feel one with it, so that there's no more the sense that, oh, I am experiencing fear, but rather you become that fear. And then you're not fighting with it anymore. You experience it for what it is. Because fear is not necessarily bad. It is what it is. The fact that you don't want to experience it, or that it may be felt unpleasant, does not mean that fear is bad. Your interpretation of your fear is simply prejudiced, negative. So that is the first thing. Stop interpreting your fear negatively. Embrace it, surrender to it, be totally one with it. You need to surrender to your fear to such an extent that fear becomes peace. Which, on the level of the nervous system, means that parasympathetic nervous system becomes unified with the sympathetic nervous system becomes unified with the parasympathetic nervous system, of that fundamental emotional well-being, which is the natural state of the body. Breathe. Breathe into your fear. Breathe into your insecurity. Breathe into your stress, that continuous stress that people live in. Don't resist it. We could say that there are two levels of fear. One is the one that we generate in the mind through our thoughts, through our memories, or in response to our memories. And the second is the fear which simply is already present. That fundamental fear in the body. So what are the strategies to deal with fear? One is radically minimizing generating fear through our mind, through our thoughts, which requires certain mental discipline. Second is the correct relationship with the fear which is already present in our body. And that correct relationship requires first total acknowledgement of that fear, the non-resistance towards this fear, and complete surrender to it. so that it can transform. It can be experienced as peace. So in the surrender to your body, you can prioritize your solar plexus, of which most people are unconscious. So feel it, become conscious of it. Feel how you are holding that energy of fear in your solar plexus, how your diaphragm is tight, and keep letting go into it until it softens, until it opens, until it is free from any resistance. Because you see, it's not just a fear, but the resistance to the experience of fear, that is the main problem. I don't want to feel fear. So what do we do in order not to feel fear? Like in the body, in the solar plexus, we find the ways to distract ourselves from it. We try to forget it, or we repress it, or try to control it. We try to somehow overcome fear through our control. This is what courage commonly is supposed to mean. Overcoming fear with strength. Fear is not overcome, fear is not transcended, but rather it is kept in hold or on hold. We are trying to master this fear through control. When you are afraid, for instance, your breathing changes, your heartbeat changes, you maybe hyperventilate. So the so-called courage is meant to master your strength to cope with that, to overcome it, which is basically a very male approach. Of course, it's not just about men. Women are very much using this male approach. So we are trying to overcome fear through strength, through force, through control, where we interpret fear as our weakness, as something detrimental to our well-being, and that's not a true solution. It's not strength. It's not real strength. It's actually just the opposite. We try to overcome fear through courage because we are weak. I am stronger than my fear. You can never be stronger than your fear. because you cannot be stronger that fundamental energy of fear, which is already in your being. Rather, instead of trying to overcome fear, you need to surrender to it. Acknowledge it fully. So the approach to overcoming fear is actually quite feminine. And requires total honesty. I am afraid. I am terrified. But now, instead of just feeling sorry for myself, feeling bad about myself, I surrender to this emotion totally. That is the real strength. Not fighting with fear, but trying to overcome it with the opposite energy of courage. But the real strength is total surrender to fear. It is a total strength and total humility. And what happens then? There's a miracle change, because the fear is no longer experienced as an antithesis, as the opposite to our well-being, but rather it is included in the overall field of well-being. A coward is overcome by fear. Is a slave of fear. On the other hand, someone who is exercising courage is like a warrior fighting against fear. It is perhaps better than being a coward, but it is also a form of cowardice, a form of refusal to experience that fundamental, raw, animalistic fear in us as part of who we are. The title of this live stream may be a little bit deceptive, because the question is, how can we transcend our base animalistic fear? And the truth is, we cannot, unless you transcend the will to exist. You simply do not care whether you exist or not, and you do not care for anything, any gain or loss in this world. as long as you do, you cannot transcend fear. That's the pact that we have made with existence as individual beings. However, what you can transcend is your limited relationship with your fear, and you can certainly, to a large degree, minimize the experience of fear. Because while there is such a thing as fundamental fear, part of the constitution of any biological organism, through our mind we keep intensifying this fear, we keep adding to it, we keep making it worse, we are creating more and more fear to the point of becoming obsessively fearful. So the fact that there is a fundamental fear at the base of our existence should not be an excuse to compound to this issue, to reinforce this fear, to intensify this fear through our thoughts, through our mind. To really feel that fundamental fear, what it is, your mind has to be actually empty. You should not, think about fearful things, about your security, about the possible real or imaginary dangers this reality can, bring to you. Your mind has to be empty. And then when it is empty, and you are not creating fear, and you surrender to your body, to your deepest emotional sensitivity in your body, then you can feel that fundamental fear. The way you breathe, tensions in your solar plexus, how you are holding yourself on a muscular level in your body, it's all fear. And then what you need to do is what I said before. You need to surrender to it totally. Breathe and surrender to it. And then you can connect with a deeper part of you. Which is fearlessness. Fearlessness is not courage, because courage is opposite to fear, and fearlessness is not opposite to fear. Fearlessness is the peace within you that is even more fundamental than fear. So you need to breathe, you need to keep letting go until you tap into that fearlessness, into that unconditional peace. The situation of our sympathetic nervous system is something that must not be ignored. And its situation is very problematic, if not messed up. And again, it's no one's fault. It's the nature of this reality. But the fact that it is the nature of this reality on a collective level, but it does not mean that we must accept it on the individual level. We must rather strive to transform it. And it's not because it is bad, as I said, but because what is bad is our limited relationship with it, how unconscious we are, how separated we are from our emotions, from our emotional body. We just live in this mind, and we say, oh, I have all these emotions, or I am feeling all these things in my body. Why am I constantly experiencing stress? We act as if we are surprised by that situation because we are strangers to our body, we are strangers to our autonomic nervous system. And it's time to stop that separation from our body through a radical surrender to it. And this is not something ordinary human being can do, because you need pure subjectivity, you need pure attention, you need emanation of intelligence of ego, or from ego, to be able to do so. But even if you can do it, there's a big chance that you are not doing it. And in such case, you need to correct your relationship with your body and properly surrender to it. Remember, everything that you experience is fine, is good. But your relationship with what you experience is another matter. Are you one with your fear? Are you one with your stress? Are you one with your nervousness? Are you one with your tensions in the body? Or you are a stranger to all of it? Surrender to everything that is there. Listen to your body as your teacher, as your guide, as your beloved friend. And surrender to it. Only then you can become whole. And being whole does not mean that you don't feel fear. To be whole means that you are one with your fear, that you are not resisting your fear, that you are not rejecting your fear, that you are not fighting with your fear, such as, trying to activate emotion of courage. But if you fully trust it, you fully surrender to it, because it is what it is. It is real, it is true to you, in all of us. And the principle here is you need to surrender so deeply. Because of course, surrender can be shallow, superficial. You need to surrender so deeply that you access that fundamental peace and fearlessness at the base of fear. Where you are no longer activating the energy of control or repression in order to protect yourself, but rather you totally let go. You actually let go of that protection. Not because you don't care, but because you care. Because you care so deeply. It is beyond cowardice and beyond so-called courage. It's an entirely different approach. Which you can call fearlessness, assuming you understand the meaning of fearlessness, which is a total surrender to fear in you.